All right, everybody, welcome back to the Forward Podcast. God, it's starting to feel like old times. 2 in a row for the Forward. My guest today, NBA legend Chris Bosh, just has a new book out, Letters to a Young Athlete. I'll get into him more. Today's show brought to you by Athletic Brewing. For anybody out there that is, as we say, sober curious, this is a non-alcoholic, delicious craft beer. And the thing about it, just great dudes. Bill and John, who started Athletic, they knew that there was nothing like this on the market. There wasn't a non-alcoholic craft beer that you could enjoy at times when, you're focused on stuff. Only 50 to 70 calories a can. It fits right into any beer occasion. Head on over to athleticbrewing.com and use the code FORWARD25 for 25% off your first time order. That's athleticbrewing.com. Today's show also brought to you by LMNT. I talk about this product all the time. This is, especially being down here in Austin, I've just been sweating like crazy. This is my go-to. This recharges and keeps me refueled, frankly, as good as anything I've ever tried. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, bunch of different flavors. Special offer for our listeners. You can get the free sample pack. So that's 4 of the different flavors just for the cost of shipping. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/forward and get your recharge sample pack for just the cost of shipping. drinklmnt.com. So today's guest, Chris Bosh. I've never met Chris Bosh before, and certainly the tallest guest we've ever had on the Forward. But what an interesting guy! This guy, 2-time NBA champ, 11-time All-Star, recent inductee into the Hall of Fame, has faced numerous hurdles in his life, and has really made the decision, both as an athlete and as a non-athlete, to just move forward. That's why I love these conversations. Spent 3 years on this book, and you'll understand why when you listen to this show. And as an older athlete, I often think about what it would be like to write a letter to my younger self. Man, it'd be a fucked up, complicated letter. But I enjoyed the hell out of this conversation. Living here in Austin now, I got 5 kids. We found ourselves just sort of sharing a bunch of fun similarities growing up in North Texas, having 5 children, struggling with things throughout your career. What a legend. So thanks to Chris for stopping by. Check out the book, Letters to a Young Athlete. Lots in here. Lots of great reviews as well, I might add. Enjoy the conversation. Chris Bosh, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Where do I start? First, congrats on being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Big deal.
Thank you very much. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's all happening so fast for me. You know. But I'm glad it's happening. I still want to be playing the game at this time, but it's good that things can kind of go a different way, but still work out.
Right.
And this is kind of living proof of that for me. So
I've done a lot of these podcasts, and I have to say, never in, 100 plus shows have my kids been so excited to meet a guest. They're like, wait, Chris Bosh is coming to the house? I said, well, yeah. And they're like, and then all of a sudden they start telling their friends, and then can I bring a friend?
Turns to a plus one.
Pretty cool.
Real quick.
All of a sudden dad's not so lame anymore. It's like, man, maybe my dad's all right.
Yeah, it's gonna happen to us all, right?
It is. To keep you humble real quick. And then you got the new book, Letters to a Young Athlete, which I know you worked on for many years. And it's funny, somebody asked me, I was doing a buddy show the other day, and he said, what would you, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but he said, what would you say to a 15-year-old Lance Armstrong? And it's, I didn't have a great answer.
Yeah.
And I was a young, cocky kid, racing professionally in the sport of triathlon. And
by 15?
At 15 years old in Dallas. I know.
Man, golly.
You were a pro as a teenager too. What are you talking about?
Not a professional,
Right.
That's, of course, it was crazy even thinking about it. I got drafted when I was 19,
right.
which couldn't even imagine that. You know, I watch these kids now getting drafted, and it's like, man, be careful out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just.
Well, then hasn't there been talk of, which I think I disagree with, of sort of limit or setting an age limit? But yeah,
that's coming.
But this idea, and then what we have 12 essays essentially of letters to a young athlete, maybe not necessarily just you, but to athletes in general.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the premise. And it's interesting. A lot of people ask me, "Are you speaking to your younger self?"
Right.
And not really. There's parts of that, but I'm just recalling and recounting stories that helped me pretty much, and you know, just kind of going back through everything. I had never not played basketball, so when I was in that position, I start thinking about a lot of stuff, and you start remembering the roadmap. And so this is me giving people that roadmap and saying, yeah, you make a left right there, you know, and this is how you're a leader. This would help me be a leader. This is how you can be good at communication and teamwork, you know, stuff like that. And these are the things that I felt that was important to make an example of, tell these stories so people get it. And it's what I remember from my life, right? Things that helped me, or something that I took from one of the greats and is like, yeah, that really worked.
As a professional.
But
even, I mean, I guess, you know, when I think of my younger years, you know, I grew up basically without a father. So I had, you know, my coaches and trainers and you know, those were my father figures in a way. And I'm sure same for you growing up playing the game, you have those iconic figures in your life that you never forget. You know, my swim coach, you know, was like a father. My track and field coach was a world-class runner. It was like you just, you know, sort of fill that void.
Yeah. And for me, you know, of course, my dad was there. He always supported, took me to practice. But on those days that he couldn't take me, that's where my coaches filled those roles and taking me to go get something to eat because we were always hungry.
Right.
And you know,
well, when you're 6, you know, 8 feet tall, you know, it's hard to fuel that body.
It was getting crazy, you know, but they would just help out, take us to the football games, take us, pick us up, drop us off. You know, I wanted to pay homage to those people as well because, you know, it's basketball overall. I just didn't want to tell the stories from my professional life. I wanted to tell it from the whole thing, from high school. Hey, this helped me in high school, middle school, college. Give you kind of the whole story.
Yeah, and we both grew up in North Texas. We just discovered that.
Yeah, it's crazy from Plano. That's funny.
I was born at Methodist Hospital, downtown Dallas, right just across the bridge there. And just kind of grew up in the suburbs, first at Garland and then Richardson, and then eventually went to high school in Plano.
You went to Plano High?
I went to Plano East.
Okay, Plano East, yeah.
My mom's still in Frisco.
Okay.
Loves it.
Okay, yeah, of course.
She loves that life.
Yeah. I have land out in Prosper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got land out in Prosper.
And it's all changed. I mean,
it's so crazy every day.
Growing up.
Yeah, every day it's
there
changing.
Was nothing. Well, you know, growing up in Plano, when I would go for a ride, you know, now you read about, you know, Allen, Texas's $70 million high school football state. There was nothing there. I was just riding through fields.
Yeah, we used to play in high school. We played Plano East. We'd always do a 1-and-1 every season. Yeah. So we had a bunch of battles with those guys.
And I feel like in this most recent, or in the Hall of Fame class, you had Chris Webber. I think he's from the Dallas area too, I think.
Chris Webber?
Yeah.
He's from Detroit, the Detroit area.
Oh, he is no. Yeah. There was another kid that went to Plano East that was in that Fab Five. Jalen, maybe?
No, not Jalen. It was, Jimmy King, yes.
Jimmy King.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was, you know, it's one of those things it's nice to go back and visit, but...
Yeah, it's different. I mean, you know, it's different. I mean, even going back home, because it's funny, Dallas was Texas was always the plan. It's just for us and my family, I had to retire quicker than we expected.
I know, I'm so curious about that.
Yeah.
And I think it really, although you weren't young, I mean, that period of your life being almost forced to retire, I want to say that because to me, that's, you know, the name of the show is The Forward, and to me, the forward means, look, you come up against something, and you got a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Do you put it in neutral? Do you put it in reverse? Or do you say, I'm going to move forward? So that's why I love these stories. But we'll get into all that. And as I was reading about your going back to high school, I was reading about the team. You guys were like 41-0 or something. 40 and 0. Yeah, sorry, I missed one. Number one team in the country.
Yeah.
I'm sure every school was calling.
Yeah, it was getting intense. But you know what? That's how I wanted it. I wanted to be the All-American with a bunch of letters. That's something that I always aspired to be, and I put everything into the game, Not being cliche or anything, but it's true.
Right.
I didn't do anything else. I had other stuff I liked, but I played basketball, so I watched the movies that showed the recruits getting all the mail, and then so when it starts happening, it's overwhelming and it's crazy. And then you never really think about making the decision, right? You think that it's easier than it's going to be. Right. But, just for our team, we didn't expect that we were going to be the number one team in the country. Right. A lot of people still don't even give us that credit for that, and especially it's interesting. The next year, LeBron's team, of course, number one team in the country. It was everywhere, of course, because of LeBron.
Right. And,
when I tell people that, they're like, wow, oh, really?
Right, exactly.
I didn't know that, but we were just, and being a public school too, usually they're private schools who are the best team in the country. But I mean, it was a magical year for us. It was a lot of fun.
Number one team in the country, undefeated, but you were part of the National Honor Society.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I didn't know that. Like, people, that is hella impressive.
Yeah.
And how much was mom and dad saying, okay, I get it, you're great at basketball, but you got it, or was that something you cared about?
It was a whole family thing, really. It was, I have aunts who are retired teachers, retired police officer. Education was always huge. So they really didn't care. And even basketball sports was like, okay, I mean, that's cool, but...
Right.
My dad,
and he plays basketball.
Yeah, my dad was like, okay, that, hey, you can go get a scholarship. You need to do that.
Right.
Everybody else was more so like, no, you need to make sure you're doing your job in the classroom. And on top of that, I always wanted to, it was big in the family, so I wanted to do well in school. And then when I started doing well, you notice you get a little bit extra attention from being a smart athlete.
At what point did you know? You were of course, nobody ever knows that they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. But at what point in your life, in your basketball career, did you absolutely know you're going to be in the league?
When I was 17.
You knew it?
Yeah, we were, I tell this story all the time. We were at All-American camp. It was ABCD camp. It was in Teaneck, New Jersey in 2001, like around June-ish. Probably, almost 20 years to the date. Probably around 20 years to the date.
Perfect.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Look at you just like, you're like.
Yeah, it is.
Because I just real quick, I have this whole thing. Like, I talk about shit that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I was like, wow, that was 30 years. And you stop. You're like, because to me, in a lot of these examples, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Or it feels like it was last month. And then you're like, wait. And then if you turn that over in 20, it just, life moves fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're there.
Yeah, I'm there. And usually guys get like a bunch of chances to kind of go to that camp. I only had one shot. This was going into my senior year. And, I don't have as much attention as others. I'm kind of really working on my game. I'm growing. I've been in the gym. This is it, right? And I really didn't pay attention to much. I just wanted to play and play my best. I met LeBron there. I met Carmelo there. A bunch of good players. At the end of the camp, I made the All-Star team, and I was 5th. They did rankings, and they were showing me like, yo, look, and it was like 5th place. And I just, I looked at it and said, okay. Yeah. I'm going to the league. This is definitely going to happen. All right, cool. Yeah. I gotta keep going because I didn't expect that.
LeBron was number one.
Of course, yeah,
he was.
Yeah, he was. He was the best player I had ever seen up into that point. And it was so much to the point where I asked, "Who's this dude?" Because the internet wasn't like that back then. You couldn't get the picture and the article.
Right.
You only got the article.
Yeah.
So you hear about it. LeBron. So one of my coaches
See, kids
said that's
can't relate
LeBron.
to that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
They're watching. I mean, kids don't even watch games anymore. They watch, highlights reels on social media.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
it's different.
You're like, kids, I remember when the internet started. They're like, what?
What does that even mean?
Was that before TikTok or when was that? Like, I mean, they don't even. It's just crazy. I want to double click on LeBron. I mean, I guess you have to ask about LeBron. I mean, and you're the perfect person to ask because you were his teammate for many years. But yeah, I mean, he's just a beast.
Yeah, I wrote about him, quite a bit. He was pretty much the muse for the section on taking care of your body. I had never seen anybody like that since a young age stretch and have routines and stay with this regimen. And you could tell back then he was on the quest to be the best in the world,
right.
and even I had never felt like that from another player to be like, oh, he's doing something I haven't even seen.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
And it would push me to get better. And that's why I write about it so much in this particular book, because I got to see him, both he and Dwayne, how much they put into their body.
And Carmelo, he's still playing the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to know what he's doing because he's obviously doing something because he's still playing.
Right. What does it feel like? I mean, here we go back to the high school camp. These are your peers. These are your guys. You're like, we're all going to the league.
Yeah.
What's it like to, and I know, your situation is very different than theirs, but what is it when you watch a game and you see these guys still on the court, still dunking, still winning, still making the do-re-mi?
Yeah.
What's that feel like?
It used to feel bad. It used to feel, it was a feeling I had to get over.
Right.
It took a couple years, I wanted to be out there. Obviously, you can't have longevity in this game because they're proving that. And if you would have asked me, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, yeah, sure, I'm still going to be playing and I'll be in that mode of my career where I'm figuring it out and, just trying to, one more year, champ,
right.
But at least I could go out on my own terms or whatever. But it took a while to get over, but I'm happy for them. I'm to watch them do it. I mean, I don't want to play basketball. I haven't played basketball in years. And so, I admire their commitment to the game and just commitment to their body and the sacrifice they're making. Cause man, I work out, but running up and down, taking those beatings, those hotels, it gets tough, man.
That's fine. Like, see, I watch I watch a lot more basketball now that my little guy is just so passionate about basketball.
Yeah.
But I never really watched that much basketball. And as I sit with him and watch, to your point, like this is the game is way more physical than people think. Or if you really watch it, people getting banged and knocked and elbows and blood. I mean,
you get an elbow to the face.
Why is there blood on the
Yeah, I mean, I've had stitches here, right here on my forehead and my nose. I had 7 stitches before in my mouth, stitches in my knees. Here, I mean,
it's a physical game.
Yeah, it's a physical game.
When your career was abruptly ended due to the medical issue, if you say the day before you found out, like, what did you think you had? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Oh, at that time, I mean, I always saw myself getting to 36 and then figuring it out.
Right.
And I would have been, you do it in contracts. At that time, my contract was going to take me to 35. And so the way I planned it out, I said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but usually in this situation, I could sign about a 3-year deal, 2-3-year deal, and then we'll go from there. I'll see how my family is, and then we'll just keep doing these check-ins. Right. But I definitely saw myself playing 36, 37.
And now
I'm 37.
Yeah, so that's
now. Yeah, now. I saw myself still playing now, but then not in a sense to where I'm like, man, I want to be out there. And people ask me, do you miss the game? I do, and it's good to miss things, but I don't miss playing. I miss playing, but I don't miss those people out there doing that stuff. They are working every day.
And missing, and I always sort of reflect on that, and I miss. It's funny you say that. I mean, I miss the moments that nobody sees. I miss those long training rides, either by yourself or with a couple teammates, or those dinner tables and conversations with your guys, like your dudes,
trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah, you know, and whether you're having fun or whether you're just talking shit about somebody else, like that, like that's stuff nobody sees, right?
Yeah,
and for you guys, I mean,
you spend more time doing that as opposed to playing, you know,
and even, you know, you guys obviously, you know, lots of games, traveling, time on the plane, just
hanging out. You got to figure it out. I mean, that was one of the things I loved about being with the Heat and the Raptors as well. Seeing how you would have that guy on the team that just gets everybody together. So in Toronto, it was my guy named Derek Martin. He always got the team together. Dinners, those are, like you were saying, those unseen things. Like with the Heat, we get up. Some nights we get in at 2, 3 a.m.
back from
on the road. Well, or from a game, get in on the road, check in at the hotel, and it's like, yo, they got that pancake spot right around the corner. We going, right? And,
really?
All right, 10 o'clock. We'll be there.
Come on. 10-footers walk
in
to get pancakes. They're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
That's how good the pancakes were, man. But it was just that team bonding of saying, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this commitment to each other to just get up. We'll sleep after, but those were the things that I think where the magic was lied with the teams.
And not to not that no other player in the league doesn't read to the extent that you did, but you were like, I love the story in the book about your coach suggesting or maybe even giving you a copy of a Malcolm Gladwell book.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking, watch this, I'm going to give him this. I'm going to give him this. He thinks he's smart. Watch this. And you're like, no, coach, sorry, I already read that.
That was funny. That was a hell of an introduction, especially when you only know a coach competitively and he's, you know, just been a figure on the sidelines that talks for the other team. Yeah. And you had never met before, and that was our introduction. And he's like, yeah. And I mean, it was so funny because I didn't know what to say to him. So I told him, like, yeah, I read that already. And like, you know, you get that raw reaction of looking like,
he's like, hey, thinking is this guy shooting me straight or?
Yeah, you know, but that ended up being he started. I guess he had to start digging a little deeper for those books, which he did, and he still does to this day. I told him I sent him a slew of copies.
Yeah, I loved the article or the interview you did with the New York Times about just your reading and what interests you, and you know what sort of zone you like to be in when you read, and the top 3 books, and you know it's I'm like, damn. But for the record, everybody that listens to this show knows that, I mean, I can't read an email, much less read a book. Like it's that I struggle there. So just to see your level of a passion for it. Like
we got audiobook. We got the audiobook.
I know, and I've tried that, like a long ride, turn on the audiobook and
doesn't do it for you.
Doesn't do it for me.
Hey man, you know, we gotta do the things that work for us. Right?
You know, one of the authors you talked about was President Obama, and one of your favorites, and you know, he's a big hoopster.
Yeah,
or at least he acts like one.
Yeah.
Thinks he's one. You ever played basketball with him?
It was this event that we did,
because that would be cool.
Yeah, they had just a hoop, and he like shot it a couple times. It was like, oh, yeah, but it was very quick. You know, time with the president.
Right.
I think I've met him maybe 5 or 6 times total. 10 minutes. Wow. Maybe even 15. But yeah, it's always very, very quick and to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Kareem, yeah. I had lunch with Kareem. I met him, and that was just meeting a legend. And I saw his documentary on HBO a few years back, and it was just, you know, you find out those things that are just crazy. I mean, you know, black dude in America playing during civil rights. Yep. That's crazy. So I just wanted to talk to him about that. We had lunch and just hung out. But then he brought like 8 books. He's written like 8 books.
8 different books.
8 different books. Wow. And he has, I don't want to get this wrong. I know he has a degree in English, I believe, in history, you know. So he's like very educated dude.
He just floats around. Like,
yeah.
I've been around him a few times. And you're just like, wow, this dude's got it figured out. Like, what's it like to wake up as him?
And it was interesting, and I always felt like I had a connection because telling, Pat Riley, he would always tell me, like, Kareem would read all the time. He would read all the time before every game, and he'd be like this, and if somebody messed with him, he, just like gave him a look and a scowl before the game, but he read before the game, and he would always tell me that. So when I met him, it was just like, he's already the legend, but just to know those extra things, I felt a little more connected.
And when did you... because going back, and I'm sure there's a medical or technical term for the health issue you had.
Yeah.
Just widely described as blood clots, which, can mean a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
At what point did you, because we all, obviously at one point in my life, I got cancer and I had symptoms and stuff was starting to pile up. And I'm like, I don't think this is right.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, right.
Like the warning lights and then brighter lights and then all of a sudden
screeching home.
Hammer come.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you know? Or was this just through some routine blood work or a physical? Or
So the first time I had a pulmonary embolism. And so what happened is I actually had it for a while. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know. It just felt like, what is this?
Okay.
It just felt like you ever get, you remember when you were a kid, you don't get them so much as an adult, but when you're a kid and you run and you get that cramp in your...
Yeah, side stitch.
Yeah. That's what it felt like. But it just felt very mild and it would flare from time to time. And then it started moving and then it got so bad. And I kept playing, and...
Well, that's what athletes do.
Then my lung was collapsed, partially collapsed. And it was just like, man, that's now anybody listening to this, if you have that shortness of breath, go to the hospital right now, But I started experiencing that. And then the pain just became so bad. Like I couldn't, this whole left side of my body was just like, I got to go to the hospital right now.
Wow.
And then I went to the doctor's office. They took chest x-rays. They sent me and it was like, all right, we got to make an appointment for you. Emergency room. They see that. They take me to the CT scan, take me back to the emergency room, and then they're putting the thing in my nose. And it's like, they're explaining all these things to me, and then it just.
And this is you're with the Heat then.
Mm-hmm, I was with the Heat. Yeah.
This is what athletes do.
Yeah.
Right. What athletes are great because they're tough, but they're also excellent excuse makers.
Yeah.
To a side hurts. Oh, because I had to run too much in practice, or I got bumped in the game, or.
I couldn't even remember the excuse. It was just like,
but there was an excuse.
I should have been said something, and I'm so lucky because usually people pass from that.
They do.
Very, very easily. So, that always gives me the chills thinking about it, because it could have easily been
happened in a game.
Yeah, it could have happened in the game, So, we went through that whole process. And then after that, I came back. Right. And but before that, I had I developed complications in the hospital, so I ended up being in the hospital like 2 weeks, and I had to have surgery, and it was terrible. And I had this thing connected to me, it catches the drainage stuff in my lungs. It was like it was really bad, and recovered from that.
Yeah, you think that was the end, or
I came back. Came back to All-Star form the next year. I was like, all right, I'm back. I'm appreciative.
Sure.
Blah 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 blah. My calf is sore. Let me do the right thing and make sure, because it was during the exact same time, All-Star break. I started freaking out a little bit, so I said, let me make sure it's good, because it's all good, right? Let me just get this scan on my legs. Got the scan. They told me it was blood clots in my legs, and pretty much. That was it. That was like, that set off the chain reaction to be, everybody had to kind of distance themselves because, like you were saying, they can't take that risk.
Right.
So it just.
And the team as well. Or maybe even the league.
No, all the team. The team, the league. I for the next couple of years, even after that, me and the team got to a place where we were competing and because I wanted to play.
Right.
And then once that was done, I think both sides got what we wanted. And then I was still trying to play for the next 2 years. Because I was in that mind frame like, nah, it's no.
Right. We can fix this.
No, look, come on. I'm in full beast mode. The playoffs are in next month. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to lose it, but the further we got away from it, being an athlete, I knew, like, man, you can't be off this long.
And Pat Riley, he writes the foreword for the book. But this is also the guy who's, at the time, I think I got this right, was the GM of the team.
Yeah, GM president. Yeah.
So that's, probably who was sitting there going,
I mean, we talked about it.
Yeah.
We talked about it afterwards. During the business stuff, we couldn't. I mean, it was lawyers and doctors and stuff like that talking about it and hashing it out, which that's a whole maze.
I hear you.
But after we just shared a moment, we were like talking, we talked about how it ended for him. What did he do? And he was just like, man, I just hate that it happened for you like that. We could talk as friends, sometimes that business thing, it makes it complicated.
It gets in the way.
It gets in the way. But after all that stuff was done, we spoke, and we both related as ex-athletes, just trying to figure out that next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I read he's gotten himself in a little trouble for he made some suggestion. You were in the press about it. Trying to get LeBron back, or he said he could come back to Miami, or I don't know what they called it, but
tampering. Tampering. I mean, it's that's the thing in the league. I mean, that's the thing in the league nowadays. You can.
Well, who's not? What GM is not going to say? By the way, LeBron, if you want to come play too.
Yeah, you gotta watch it nowadays, especially doing those interviews, being in that position. There's certain things you can and can't say.
And how good were those? I mean, obviously, going back to these dinner tables, these flights, these 2 a.m. meals at the Pancake Factory or whatever. You got this bond that's established with not just any team, but especially a championship team. These guys. So you're in the hospital too. I mean, how LeBron, D. Wade, all these guys. I'm assuming they were, very concerned for you.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of it was a blur for me. It was kind of like mixed, caught in between me just being, once you're out the game, you're out the game, and it just keeps going. You're off the train. It's going to continue to go. And we kept in contact up to a certain point, but they're continuing to play basketball. Yeah. They have their schedules, and I don't know what I'm doing, So there was only so much the line of communication so far I could go, because they're extremely busy doing what they do.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I had to get over, It's
That'd
different when the game, when the game goes without you.
Yeah,
it's a harsh realization, and it's just like you feel that you're where you are and nobody cares. But that's where my family came in.
Yeah,
my kids, my wife, they were tremendous in the whole process, because I stopped watching basketball. I didn't have anything to do. It was a while before I even watched basketball.
So many similarities. And maybe it's not atypical for athletes. And this is, and you talk and write a lot about this. Just this, you did this your whole life, right? You practiced and played your whole life. I rode a bike and raced bikes my whole life. And then all of a sudden, it's over. And 1 year of college, I never went to college. Like, what am I going to do? Like, filling that void. I tell you what, that is a dangerous place for any athlete.
Yeah, no,
male,
for sure.
female, no matter what the sport.
Yeah.
Like, if that's all you've ever known, it's.
People ask me, how do you replace it? You say, you don't.
You can't. No,
you don't even try.
Right.
Go find out who you are. And that's what I had to do. I had to find out who I am, because I've never done that before.
Yeah. And kids do help. But I mean, and I love these interviews I've read of yours where you talk about dropping your kids off at school. I mean, that's cute, but that's not the same thing. like I would always joke with people say, "What do you do now?" I say, "Well, I'm just an Uber driver for my kids." Because now 3 of them obviously drive, but I still drive my kids around. But do you think being an Uber driver for your kids is going to fill the void of hoisting a championship trophy?
I used to play in front of 20,000 every night.
Yeah.
We didn't do this.
No. You make all the jokes you want. Oh, they give me 5 stars, I'm Uber Lux. It's not the same. I mean, there's not.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate it. It's not the same, but I never wanted to go back to it. I don't try to bottle it up and try to relive none of that stuff. I love where it is. Even watching Brown, he's in the playoffs. It's like, oh man, damn, Melo in the playoffs. That's crazy.
Right.
I can appreciate the game. Something might come back and jug me every now and then, but I can kind of. I can anticipate it. I know it's coming. I know that feeling, and I know I don't.
You can look away.
Yeah, I mean, look away for a couple minutes. That knee pain, that joint pain, that physical pain, that ice tub, that ice bath after the game. That's what I think about. I'm like, okay, I don't.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I can be done. And at some point, it's just inevitable.
Yeah,
right? So
I'm done.
But you found, obviously, writing this book, which I think is we were joking before we hit record. Like, it feels like it's been out for months because it's out there.
Yeah.
That's super dope. But doing some work with ESPN.
Yeah.
Which I think that fills a bit of a void.
Even getting out there, talking about the book, that kind of, to be extremely, extremely busy. That's what that void is to me.
Yeah.
I'm in that mode of being like, oh yeah, that's how it's like. This is just minus the flights. But I can focus when it's time to focus and lock in on those things and perform. I'm just glad that I have something to talk about, something to perform for,
and we can understand
put
you.
it out.
Like Shaq. No, and I love Shaq, but at this point, I think it's a skit.
Yeah,
like I watch TNT, and
you can't understand it.
He cannot. No, and I think he's just messing with people. He's like, I'm gonna talk like. I was like, wait, what did he do? They almost need like subtitles. Seriously, I think he's messing with us.
Oh man, I gotta watch it, man. I don't. Those are. I usually have it on mute. I'm usually doing my work, so when I'm watching the games, it's a habit that I built. I always have it on mute. I have to listen to it.
Yeah. It's like, what did he just say? I'm like, Ernie, could you translate this, please? Barkley, come on. Barkley's an old buddy of mine, so I love the dynamic between those two.
Yeah.
I could see you sitting in there. What coach did you always want to play for? I mean, you only played for 2 teams, right? So was there a coach in the league that you just said, man, I'd love to play for that guy?
Oh, yeah. I always thought Phil Jackson was fascinating.
Yeah. His comment, he's got a nice plug for your book on the back cover.
I always thought he was fascinating.
I think everybody thought that.
Yeah.
Like he had the whole Yogi Buddha story and all, all that. You're like, damn.
Yeah.
And then being able to manage, MJ and Rodman and Pippen and like.
Him and Tex Winter, the great Tex Winter, he's the architect of the triangle offense. He pretty much Phil has his staff, they were well seasoned, they knew what they were doing. Man, I haven't thought about that in a while. I mean, D'Antoni was always an interesting one because, he just loves offense. So any coach that loves offense.
It's your kind of coach?
It's my kind of coach, man.
By the way, I like offense too. Yeah, it's good to have the ball.
Yeah, man. Damn, I know I'm missing somebody.
What about Popovich?
Popovich, I would like to see.
Interesting guy.
Very interesting dude.
Yes.
Very disciplined.
Yep.
West Point guy.
Yep. Not afraid to say anything. I love his interviews.
It's the system. The Spurs and the Heat had a lot of similarities in that, to where it's about the culture, the system, the way we do things. Because, and they still run the same plays to this day, but they modify them, but strong and weak.
Yep.
And they build their offense and defense off that foundation,
right.
And they're you see players get better out there. Right. You can tell that they have a great system and good coaching.
Yeah.
Reading
Pat Riley's, he really does. He just sort of, it is blow by blow that that famous rebound but San Antonio is our team, right?
Yeah,
you probably noticed living here in Austin, It's not the Rockets. Like, you have to pick a team, and you grow up in Austin. Like, it's the Spurs.
It's right there. It's 90 minutes away.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
90 minutes.
So reading, and I know Popovich a little bit, much closer with R.C. Buford, the former GM, who's now kind of running.
Me and R.C. talked about that.
Yeah,
we talked about
R.C.'s
that game.
the man.
Yeah, it was actually the last South by Southwest that that they had. We did this event and we spoke, and we were just like we were on a panel, but we were in the same room. Like, oh man, and we talked about that, and he was saying how tough that was to get over, and just because I asked him like, how I couldn't imagine being on the other end of that.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he told me their story of bouncing back, but they ended up getting us back.
They did great. I mean,
they got us back.
Yeah, whoever would have thought that R.C. Buford and Popovich finding players from Mars, like they were like, wait, where'd you find this dude?
Yeah,
he's
setting the records.
He's from Ecuador. Like, I'm like, who? I mean, they cobbled together this international, and that was R.C. was always so passionate. Just knowing him as I do, he would travel and he'd go watch these guys in the middle of nowhere. Next thing you know, the guys in the league like that. I don't know.
No, it's talent.
They were cool to cheer for.
Yeah. No, they had great teams. Those were the best teams I've ever played.
How fucked up is this? They actually have an American on the team.
When they beat us, it was a lot of flags. They had every dude had a flag. They all wrapped themselves in their flags. It was, it's always been a very, very multicultural team.
Speaking of American stuff, where's the gold medal? You have a gold medal.
Yeah, I got a gold medal.
Hanging up?
Nah, it's in the safe.
Most people actually take it home and then frame it. And it's just chilling in the safe.
Chilling in the safe. You know what I mean?
Championship rings?
Same.
In the safe.
Yeah.
You ever wear those?
I'm just not getting to the point where I'm looking at that stuff.
Interesting.
I never looked at it.
Yeah.
Especially during the time I was playing basketball. I wanted to move on to the next thing.
Can't believe. I mean, it's so similar. Like I go to old teammates' houses or old rivals' houses, and there's shit everywhere. This is the stage 30.
Got the jersey
stuff
hanging
everywhere.
up with
And people come into our house, they're like, "Where's all your stuff? I'm like, I don't need that on. There's other things. There's family photos and art, and there's a few little things, but.
And I have a couple things, and after I had to bring all my stuff from Miami eventually, and then that's when I start going through boxes and saying, okay, all right, I was looking at it again, hang it up. Just a couple things. I forgot about this one. I like this one. Yeah. Everything else pretty much goes where I can find it, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's
you
around.
ever want to get in the business again? Coach, be a GM? I know you're getting offers.
No, I haven't. I don't have any offers. I'm just, I'm cruising, writing a book, being a dad. I can see myself once the kids get older and kind of start doing their own thing, and we're in a different stage where I have the immense amount of time that it'll take to put into that. Maybe.
How old are the kids? Because we both have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Yet another similarity.
12, 9, 7, 5, and 5.
Dude.
Yeah, we're in there.
And how many of them are girls?
2 girls, 3 boys. My oldest and my middle is my girls.
Because let me just warn you, these girls, when they're about 15, just take a long vacation for a couple years, and let your wife handle it, because this shit gets crazy. All these drives, you can tell them all the nice stuff you did for them. Doesn't matter. They're aliens.
Yeah.
Yes, you got
to. I'm sure it changes. I'm sure it changes. But I'm excited. I always hear that, enjoy, keep enjoying it. So I'm definitely in that mode now, just enjoying the kids and having a good time with them. You know?
Yeah. I saw another piece you did, and I was not a college athlete, but I just find myself really interested in this, and this idea of student athletes and you were, the piece that I saw, very outspoken. Look, we got to it. Not so much fix this system, but address this system. And this just isn't, and you said it so well. You're like, look, we're building, massive stadiums for these kids, and millions of people are watching. Meanwhile, this kid's like, I'm hungry.
Right.
Like that. And I'm not pretending to have an answer.
Yeah.
But I'm smart enough to know that it has to be addressed.
Yeah, no, for sure. It does. And, I love the fact that you can get an education. I had a conversation with my coach. We passionately, have debates about these things every time we speak. And, I never want to devalue education. There is a mode to education, but there is also a mode to work and getting compensated for that work. And not to say that you got to have a
course.
shit ton of money, but just like, yo, if I'm old enough and I'm responsible, I want to go get a beer and a pizza with my friends. That'd be kind of cool.
Right.
I mean, I mean, you know, it's crazy to be playing on ESPN and then we don't have a car.
Right.
And even if we did, there's no gas in it. And then like we can't even go on a date or go hang out with our buddies or anything. It's always in the dorm room and all that stuff. So,
well, and it probably leads to, and I don't know how much this goes on anymore, but in any dynamic like that where people have their back against the wall, so to speak, you know, you're going to look for.
And people prey on that,
right?
You know, in a city like Atlanta, that can be a problem. Somebody could just from the street could just come to you and say, "Hey, I see you out here." And if you take anything from them, that's illegal. You know, it's just it is what it is. But yeah, I think I'm not saying I have the answers, but we want to start the conversation.
I think the conversation is starting. I do. I think in 5-10 years time, there feels like there's going to be some solution.
I think so.
And the other interesting thing you said was just about the sort of the inequality and disparity between the men's and women's sports. I think you said the women's team at Georgia Tech had to, like, the only time they could have access to the facility was 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, now I don't know that part, but they practice every day at 5 a.m. just every day. And then just talking to women athletes in general, just you know, some of them go from that to pro situations, and they're playing year round. They're playing in the WNBA in the summer, then they're going to Russia for the winter. You know, like it's the craziest things, and then people don't even know and don't care. You know that these women are out here doing their thing. But I always wanted to. That was kind of a mode and a message that I want to have too. To
I think
realize that. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that piece. I think.
Oh, thank you.
I think you should keep hammering that.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What about? I just read Coach K is retiring.
Yeah.
How was it playing for? I mean, speaking of coaches, I mean, obviously different. He wasn't in the league, but how, is he as sort of mythical as people make it out to be? Because they really.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's magic. He's a good time playing on that team in 2008. I look very much so every day. Look forward to just hearing the film sessions and hearing what he's going to say because he's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, he doesn't come off as funny. He comes off as pretty boring.
He's funny as and you know
that's amazing.
The
I love
boredom
that.
is a funny. He knows how he sounds.
He knows how to work it. He knows how to work
his stick. You know, and he knew that it was his job to motivate us every day. And he did a masterful job of doing that. I mean, I look forward every day to practice. I look forward every day to just the film sessions and just what he's going to say and how he's going to get us in that mode to either relax or any. And I mean, he did a great job. And we had one rule with that team that Jason Kidd made because he was the leader. And he said, we only need one rule, be on time.
Coach K said that?
Jason Kidd said that because he put the players in a situation where it's like, okay, you guys make the rules. What are our rules going to be?
Right.
And I thought that was very fascinating.
Right.
And you know,
the Dream Team gets to make their own rules.
Dream Team makes their own rules, man. So.
Although it's crazy, like, you know, but I did the Olympics in '92, so that was the sort of the birth of the Dream Team, and you know, that was like men against boys, and now it's. You know, these other countries, man, they're, you know, some South American countries, you know, you look at, you know, guys like Jokic. I mean, we got competition.
Good. Oh, yeah, no, it's competition. I mean, even, you know, not to harp on it too much, but the Olympics are coming up in the U.S. We got 6th, I think, in the World Cup last year.
How is that?
2 years ago.
That's not. That means these guys are just phoning it.
Either way, they got 6. I don't know what it was.
Point.
I mean,
fair point. That is why they play the game. It turns out.
Yeah, and that's pretty to not get gold in the U.S. uniform. That's basketball. That's it's embarrassing.
Unthinkable.
Yeah. So like. Yeah, I mean, the countries are getting better. Spain is very good. France is very good. Brazil has had a team or two. Italy has been around there. You say like Jokic.
Yep.
Big fellas out there. I mean, it's these international superstars that are, you know, evolving the game, and it's getting better. And the system they've always had the infrastructure to do that stuff. Just the talent wasn't like America.
Right.
Now It was getting closer.
And they got a whiff.
Yeah.
They got a whiff. They're like, oh, wait, this is what's on the other side?
I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, no, this is what this means? Like, okay, now I get it. Let's go.
Yeah, now you got guys like Luka Doncic out there as well. Like, oh, boy, he's the best player in the league. Am I tripping? Like, man, he's the best player maybe in the world. Oh, my God. It's crazy. And he's not, an American-born guy. You know? But his competition is great, right? It'll be great.
Let's talk about Kobe, because you talked about him in the New York Times article and talked about his book. This is, I have a lot of thoughts on Kobe. I'm a huge fan. I knew him a little bit, and you will never forget the moment where I thought it was spam or a joke or something hearing this accident. But you were a big fan. It's, I couldn't understand if you were younger than I thought or Kobe was older than I thought, because you said in the Times piece, you said I grew up watching him or admiring him.
Yeah.
But he had a timeless way about him.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like he was that much older than you, but
yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But he's obviously started in the league young.
Yeah, he started young and started pretty quickly. I mean, I think when he was 20, 21 years old when they started that three-peat with him and Kobe and Shaq. So that's when it was happening. And I was 16, 17. So we're right there.
Right.
And he was like our boy wonder. It's like, MJ is Superman. This is like our, he was cool.
Right.
New sneakers.
Yeah.
It was just a different vibe about him. And he continued to just deliver over and over and over. And he was, he was our generation's greatest player that we admired. And then I got
hard.
legendary. And so I got to know him over the years, and like he was just always right there, and even spoke to us at that camp I was telling you about. And it was just great to even hear what he had to say and know him and just see what was important and see how he kind of transferred that basketball talent into the talent he was writing. Because he told me, he's like, I knew once I tore my shoulder and Achilles, and then he tore his shoulder, or I can't remember which was which, but he had two crazy injuries at the end of his career. And he was honest. He said, I knew it was over. I was like, I got to start. I only got like one more year, two more years left. And that was crazy to hear Kobe talk about that, the greatest player on the planet, to be like, basketball, I'm doing this now. Like, what? I know it's over. It's getting close because this hurts, And I was just so gracious just to have those opportunities to just hear him talk.
And when did MJ finally retire? Because he retired a few times, but when did he finally retire?
2003.
So did you? Well, you would have been because
I was drafted 2003. Yeah, I went to his last All-Star game. Actually, I was in the building.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, so everybody asks you this, and everybody wants to know who's the greatest, LeBron or MJ.
Man,
different. I know. Don't give me this candid. No, different game. Different.
Yeah, it is. It is a different game. I never compared. Never got into the comparing thing. I used to, but then it's like, man, me knowing as a player, like, okay, I've heard people say, okay, oh yeah, he only got 5, and then Kareem isn't mentioned, and then it's like, okay, it's just kind of it's just like a sensationalized thing to compare somebody to MJ, and that's fun. But they all have their different flavors. I think to me, Kobe was the greatest player of all time. To me, so is LeBron. And so, and I always say this. I said Bill Russell, Kareem, and then nobody mentions Magic, which is crazy. Magic, Kobe, Bird.
Nobody mentions Barkley.
Bron, Well, just these guys in particular, take them, Kareem, put them on their own, and just don't even. They've got the beachfront property, and just don't even. For what? There's no ranking.
In cycling, it's very similar too. But people ask me, there was and I tend to agree with this. The greatest cyclist of all time was a Belgian named Eddie Merckx. I mean, Eddie won. He won everything. Right, he won the one-day races, he won the flat races, the hilly races, the big tours, all 3 big tours, the world championships, everything. And so people, but when I look at, and this is the truth, and I think this, to your point, like it was a different sport.
Yeah.
Like this, you cannot, and you almost in a way just can't compare.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and I love your answer. Like, okay, they all have the mansions on the beach. Like, let's just leave it at that. Yeah. They're all happy but it's just different. Like,
yeah. And I mean, they influence each other, right? Mm-hmm. One wouldn't be here without the other. We wouldn't have Kobe. We definitely wouldn't have Kobe without Mike. Right. So there is a process to seeing and then the game evolving, so I've always respected that. And it's just hard. It's just hard just to even get a little bit of success, and let alone winning championships and stuff like that. Like you're saying, Barkley.
That's because he's my buddy. I like ribbing.
Well, no, I mean, he handles it with grace, but like he gets such a bad rap for not winning a ring. Like, man, you know how hard it is you have to. They were right there, John Paxson. They had the game in the bag, right? They made like one mistake, and and that was it. But it's incredibly hard, and guys shouldn't. They shouldn't be defined. It shouldn't make or break their legacy. Sure, it could add to it, but it definitely shouldn't break it. People shouldn't bring it up like, oh, well, they didn't get a championship. Right. Okay, that doesn't take away the days of work that they put in, and I mean, hey, you ask people in Phoenix, he inspired a generation of athletes. He was the baddest man on the planet in '92. Him and Mike, like. He's the MVP, bro. He was the best player in the world at one point.
Oh, he will love hearing this. I'll make sure he watches this one.
Yeah, no, it's true. He knows that.
Yeah, I had him on this show a couple years ago, and he was, Barkley's had he's had some ups and downs.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, okay, we can't go there. And he sits down and he just starts talking about it. I'm like, wait, I thought I was not going to talk about this shit. And he just like starts talking about it like it was eating pancakes at 2 a.m. Like I'm like, damn,
that's
let's
crazy.
Go.
Yeah,
he doesn't care,
man.
He don't care. Let's talk about this rap label. This our record label. This is fascinating. You love music.
I love music. It's a music label. I wanna make sure.
So all music.
We say that. Yeah,
you got the Black Pumas on. That's
you know what I'm saying. Yeah,
that would be a good band to sign.
We do everything. It's a hobby that has grown into something, and it was one of those things that I love doing as well. We're more so in book mode right now, but just being in Austin, working with musicians, local musicians, and really musicians from all over, on top of, that was one of my things. I learned how to play instruments and produce and stuff like that. Yeah, to okay, level. I'm not on playing it, but it's a hobby. And
like the piano, the guitar,
guitar mostly, the piano too, with the guitar, and it's just I just love doing it. And I had a little bit of success coming out the gate, and I kind of see how I want to do things, and it just takes time to build those things. But we're always making music. I mean, we're always, we want to be, very diverse. I mean, we got Christmas music out. We got,
there you go.
We have working on an R&B project actually. It's on the shelf right now, but after when I have time, I'll get back to it.
This is a great community for music.
Yeah,
I mean, it's awesome.
working with some amazing musicians here. It's been great, and just to see how much people love it, and I love it too. So it's one of those things that kind of pretty much saved me. I put, all the stuff I couldn't put in the basketball anymore, I put in the music as well.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I love you said saved me. I mean, that's why I love golf so much. My world changed overnight.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I immediately said, I'm about to have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
And free time is bad time for guys like you and me. And I said, I better figure something out to do with all this time. So I started to play golf, and I mean, it's fun to play and fun to go out and compete against your buddies. But in so many ways, like that game saved me. Like that, it gave me something to do, gave me something to sort of aspire to.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Yeah,
getting the magazines, fixing your swing. You know, you got to follow that. I'm right about that too. You got to follow that thing and just figure it out later. And just if you love doing it, just pour yourself into it.
Yeah. Well, now the world's going to unthaw, and we're going to have live music again. And
man.
You be out there.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
The big award shows. Who's going to win it all? I'll let you go. Leave us with that one. Who's gonna?
Man, it's so competitive. I want to see Chris Paul get one.
Yeah,
I think they have the talent.
this guy makes it look easy. You know,
pretty good. He's pretty good.
And we're a big Nuggets family. My little guy, like he loves Denver sports, and you know, Colorado kid. Like it's hard to watch.
They're making it tough on him right now. They need Jamal Murray, right? They need their guy, and now, they're at that point now where it's like, man, it'd be good to have him.
Yeah,
They're pretty. The Suns are pretty good, and you know, I know it can go a bunch of different ways. The Nets are very good. Mm-hmm. They're pretty good, but you know, I want to see CP get one. I want to see him get one, and the city of Phoenix too, man. They've been battling for a long time. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So and I mean, you know, it seems to like skip generations a little bit. You had the early '90s with Barkley, then you had D'Antoni and Steve Nash, and that crazy offense. They were just so close. Now we're back at it. So I would like to see them win.
Yeah.
Not playing favorites or anything.
No, but
they could duke it out. I don't, you know, at the end of the day.
And it's crazy to I mean to see LeBron and the Lakers exit. So I was like, wait, how'd that just happen?
Shit, it piled on quick. You could tell like the last, it happened fast. It was like the season really never got off, but they were always in like third, second place, fourth place. Like, okay, they'll get healthy. And then AD went down, and then Bron went down, and it was just, oh no. Playing game, oh
this
boy.
This Davis guy, this I tell you what, I don't want to play against any of you boys, but I definitely don't want to play against him. I mean, he's as big as a skyscraper. I mean, and the same with LeBron too. Like,
he was the first guy that I played when I was like, okay, I'm getting older in this game.
I may start to.
This guy.
I've been thinking more about this record label.
This guy right here, I'm pretty good, but boy, he doesn't even know how good he is yet. But I think he was like 21, 22. We were playing against each other. He blocking my shot and stuff. I'm like, damn. Oh man. He was the first dude that I said, okay, I got to hurry up and get it out while I can, because once he figures it out, it's gonna be a wrap.
Chris, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course,
and everybody check out Letters to a Young Athlete. And you don't even have to be an athlete.
You don't have to be an athlete.
No,
look, this is for everybody. Young athletes, we're all
Yeah.
athletes. This is for everyone. I wanted to make this message universal for people trying to just aspire for greatness. You know, do those things, get over those obstacles. You know, because they're coming. And so I want people to. Understand that this is the book that I never read. You know, I always read like those self-help books, motivational books. They weren't about basketball, but they helped me in basketball. This is kind of the reverse of that. This is about basketball, but not always about basketball, but it's just about, just conquering your mind, conquering those things, just conquering those obstacles, on the way, and just putting the work in.
Yeah, and I love that you took your time to do it.
Yeah.
3 years.
Oh,
I mean, folks. I mean, that's I mean, that makes it special. Like to write some stuff down, reflect, tweak it, play with it, pull it in, pull it out, and then bam.
It was a process, man.
I love a process. Let me tell you something. I love a process.
Awesome, man.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet.